We're fortunate to have our regional chairman, John Henry, tonight as our guest speaker. I'm not sure for those that remember, John was the mayor of Oshawa and actually was nice enough to come out and talk to us. And we were downstairs originally when John came by last. And I took him downstairs to see the club now where we've kind of grown, and he was quite pleased with a lot of the stuff that we're doing. So we're thrilled to have John back to talk about the region and what's going on and share with us some of the exciting things. So John, please feel free.
Thanks, Rob. So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. What a pleasure it is for me to be back here. Last time I was here, we were downstairs, and the crowd was a little bit smaller. But I really want to take the opportunity to say thank you. When you take the time to work with young people, you make a difference in their lives. Hi, Paul. You know, what you're doing is very noble, and I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for the other work you do in the community, the work that you do for CLOCA, and some of the agencies, and I'm positive that you probably do work in this church too, a building that's over 200 years old. So thank you for the opportunity to be here, and thank you for your 30 years of service. And some of you in the room may know me. We go back a long way, whether it's through service or through business. So I always appreciate to come out and tell the great story of Oshawa. But now let me tell you this fantastic story about the region of Durham. And what most people don't know is that the region of Durham is half the size of Prince Edward Island. That it's bigger than the state of Rhode Island. That we go all the way up to almost north of Beaverton to Brecken, and we go from the Rouge Valley in Pickering all the way into Port Granby in Clarington. And when the region was first formed some 46 years ago, there was 244,000 people lived in the region. And just a couple of weeks ago, we passed 700,000. And I want to tell you, the region is full of some of the most amazing businesses and people. You know, when you take a typical week in the region and you use the last weekend, there was Winter Carnival in Beaverton. We opened 2 businesses in Whitby. The Knights of Columbus in Oshawa put a great event on to raise money for Grandview. And that's just a typical weekend. And there's stuff going on all over the region, and you really need to take the opportunity to see it. And the challenge is we don't really tell our story of how amazing the region is until a story comes out last year like General Motors. So in 2018, in November, sad news comes to the city of Oshawa. Mayor Carter is just about ready to take office, and General Motors announced the story that they're leaving town. Now the great news about in this particular case is they gave us a year's notice. It hasn't always been like that. So over the course of the year, we were able to do a lot of different things, but we were still able to get the message out on how amazing the region of Durham is. So in the last year, not only did you hear the story about the closing of General Motors, but it didn't close. It's now a stamping plant. So when they finish production of a vehicle, those dies come to Oshawa now, and they're mandated to manufacture parts for 10 years. So it'll become a stamping plant. And then they're spending $117 million to build a test driving facility on the plant property for autonomous and electric vehicles. So that the plant's still alive, and the paint shop, which is key, is still open, and they're priming parts. So that, while it was a really bad story, ended up not quite being so bad. But what we've had is an opportunity, and now you hear the stories about OPG consolidating all of their business operations in Clarington. 2,500 jobs from around southern Ontario are going to be relocated to the municipality of Clarington, where Clarington will become the center of energy generation excellence in North America. What an amazing story for the region of Durham that we keep the lights on for 40% of the province of Ontario, and then we go to agriculture where we feed the province. Our largest employer in Durham region is farming. 18,000 people work in agro-related businesses, either cash crops, livestock, or the production of food or juice in some way. The largest apple farm or apple organization in Canada is Along Orchards in Clarington. And when you look at the region and what we do, and not only how we've changed farming, we are leaders. Long before we got into automation in factories, automation on farms took place. And if you haven't been to an automated milking barn, you have missed something. When you go up into the northern municipalities or to a dairy farm, There are really two types of farms left, but one involves robotics. So picture this, a cow gets hungry, walks up a ramp, and then all of a sudden a robot takes total control. The food for that cow comes down and it's mixed specifically for that animal. The gate closes behind the cow, an automated arm comes out and cleans the bottom of the cow, lasers light up, and the connections are made, the cow is milked, the cow is happy. When it's done, the unit is clean, and it goes away, and that can be done without a farmer in the room. That technology exists in Durham region, and it has for a long time. And then you can talk about autonomous tractors. So if you go up to Port Perry, and you go to the Hub tractor dealership on the corner, and you see it, what they have is they have a pinging system on that, so they can send a signal to any tractor in the Durham region. It's triangulated off of other systems, and they can plow a furrow within 1 inch of the previous one. And all the driver of that tractor has to do is turn it around at the end, and all the other stuff is done. And when you talk about technology in our agricultural community, that there is more commuting power in a large combine than ever before. And farms are changing. Young people are actually coming back to farm. And now they run it with things like iPhones. So a farmer can go out to, and I'll use the young farm out in Blackstock, where the families come in, the kids that come back, they farm about 7,000 acres, they grow enough wheat to make 3 million loaves of bread. And the kids can run their business off an iPhone. So we are doing well in all aspects of our economy, and not just in the north, where one of the largest mushroom farms in all of Ontario is in Port Perry, where they actually send 350,000 pounds of mushrooms a week to market. With their expansion, they'll go to 500,000 pounds, and they employ over 300 people. And that's what makes it exciting, because not only in the north do we have really big winds, but if you start in Pickering and you look what's going on, you might not be aware, but Kubota is moving their Canadian operations to Pickering in a 500,000 square foot facility that's under construction as we speak, over off just north of the 407 by Brock Road. And then you go down a little bit further, and the largest gaming facility in Canada is about to open, maybe the end of March, if not early April, where Durham Live will not only have gaming machines and tables, but they'll have hotels, they'll have an entertainment center, there'll be a water park. And the other part, which is really exciting, is there'll be a film studio. Now the interesting part about the film studio is Durham is well known for films. And I'll say that last year we did about $53 million in film production in Durham region, but you've all seen it. Who remembers Billy Madison floating around in a pool in a raft? That was the fountain at Parkway. Or Jackie Chan in a garden during the movie Tuxedo. That was Parkway. Or Bond girls. There are movies filmed there all the time, and it's not uncommon to have people of significance walking through this community, and because you don't know they're here, you don't really recognize them. But Durham has become a place for everything from Schitt's Creek to anything else. I always struggle with names like Schitt's Creek, but and I can say that there's two different levels of government, and in the municipal level of government, and here in town, Mayor Carter and his team are doing a great thing, but what they do is vastly different than what we do at the region of Durham. First of all, at the region of Durham, we have over 6,000 employees. Now, we have over 1,300 people, almost 1,300 people working in policing, with over 900 officers and civilian, and the rest are made up of civilian staff. And then we have water treatment plants across the region and in the north that delivers you the finest drinking water that you could ever imagine. But each one of those locations is different. So down here along the lakeshore, we're very lucky. There's 650,000 people that live from the Rouge to Port Granby, most on water and sewer. Highly specialized, highly trained, mandated by the province on the quality that we do. But when you get up into the northern regions, it's substantially different. We run community wells. Sunderland last year was a prime example of we had a problem. There's 2 wells in Sunderland, one quit. We had to get an order passed by the minister in order to get a new well built to serve that community. So the challenges that we have are very different. And some are the same. So when we talk about Not only is Durham one of the fastest growing regions in all of Ontario, we're also the largest region, and by 2041 we're expected to reach 1.2 million people. And our challenge as a region is we do the big planning for all of that, but making sure the infrastructure is in place to meet the needs of all the residents. And when you look at the region, the quickest way to think about it is you think of a pie. 8 slices, 8 municipalities make up the region, but the region's actually the pie plate. And we hold it all together. And it's exciting. There's 28 regional councillors and myself. And we deliver some of the most amazing services. I'm sure that some of you have been in our long-term care facilities. We have 4. We have Lakeview Manor in Beaverton, Fairview in Whitby. We have 2 in Oshawa at Hillsdale. A great opportunity for families to put their loved one someplace that's safe and secure. Now, there's other private entities out there, but I'm very proud of the work that we do in our long-term care facilities. And then we get into our health and social service and our child care and we've talked about our long-term care facilities, and then we talk about our paramedics. So not only do we cover the entire region of Durham, but it was recognized 2 years ago that we needed to do something different to deal with the challenges that we have. Now, the challenge exists through the entire region, but at that time the test was done in Oshawa. So we had actually established a paramedic program where we sponsored and put a paramedic and a mental health worker, a social worker, in a vehicle that was unmarked, and we now take our services to the people that are in trouble. Those people that are living on the streets, that are living in tent cities, that have opiate challenge, mental health challenges, and are in some cases homeless, that fall through the gaps. And we've had great success helping them with the needs that they have right there at that moment in their life by coming to them and building trust. And that program has now gone through the entire region. I'm incredibly proud of that because there is no other place in Ontario that does what we're doing, trying to find ways to deal with the challenges of mental health, opiates, homelessness. Last week in the news, you were probably following and hearing Mayor Tory brought all the chairs and mayors of the large cities along the Golden Horseshoe to come together to talk about the challenges that we're having with gun crimes and weapons being used in crimes. And we brought the federal and provincial government together and we sat down at a round table for half a day to talk about the challenges that we're all having. There's no borders or divisions by municipalities. Every municipality along the lakeshore is having problems, and we're having problems in all 8 municipalities in the region. But we're working together. We asked the federal government to strengthen border security. 80% of all the crimes committed with a handgun in the province of Ontario are with guns that come in from the United States. That a gun can be bought at a gun show in Ohio for $500 and be brought up here and sold for thousands of dollars. And we need to stop that. We need to strengthen our borders. But more importantly, we need to get the message out to the young people that are committing these crimes that there are opportunities. And that's what you've done tonight. By bringing these young kids in and working with them tonight, you've shown them that there's an opportunity. There is nothing wrong with making a living as a carpenter, or a bricklayer, or a plumber, or an electrician, or a millwright, or a crane operator. And for the longest time, for those of us that went to school a few years ago, a lot of us went to vocational schools. Where we left high school, we had some semblance of trade training that allowed us to get on to the next level of our life. And that's what we need to do for these young people. We need to do a better job. We need to give more young people the option of getting an apprenticeship fixing air conditioning equipment before they join a gang and start to commit crime. And if you listen to Mayor Tory today, that's what he's talking about. He's talking about investing in our future to help our young people. I'm really proud and excited because we've done some things that really work, and if you utilize the buses in Durham, it's simply amazing. So just a few years ago, we started the Pulse bus route on Highway number 2 that went from Mary Street in Oshawa to the Scarborough UT campus every 7.5 minutes. Last year, 2.2 million people used that transit. 800,000 people traveled up the Simcoe Street corridor to go to the university or college in North Oshawa. That this year or late last year, we established an on-demand service in Brock Township for people that needed to get transit. So if you called 4 hours prior to needing a bus, we would make sure that a vehicle, not necessarily a bus, would be there to pick you up. And we created partnerships with the taxi companies in the north, and we created a partnership with our Handy Transit vans, so when they're coming back, they can transport people So we're not running large buses all the way up to Brock Township and not having anybody on it. Now, it works. If you deliver it to the way it needs to be done, our usage is up 400%. And now we're hoping to expand that through all the northern municipalities. I'm proud to say of the region that we've introduced philosophies like Black Belt Lean and Sigma 6, and the best of both to eliminate process, eliminate red tape, and to save money. And the best example I can give you is there was always a plan to build another building at regional headquarters. And in June of last year, Council bought into the concept that if we invested in the building we currently have, created a different type of work center, because now in order to attract young people to come and work for you, they want a Google-type work environment. They want a touchdown place, a place to put in their devices, attached to their computers, a place to hang their coat and a phone. They don't need big offices, they don't need filing cabinets, and they use technology. And we're currently retrofitting regional headquarters to meet that need, and I'm proud to say it saved you $100 million. What a great story. You know, if you look around the region, down along the lakeshore, you can see that we've got lots of room to expand, but most people don't realize that 80% of our region is in the Greenbelt. So we're actually capped at the ability to do certain things, and I'll give you a best example. Uxbridge's industrial park is completely built out. Now, if you haven't been to Uxbridge or been into their industrial park, they have lots of amazing businesses, but two in particular. A company called LiftMaster is located in Uxbridge, and that's where they do a lot of their work. And Hand Steel. Now, you probably don't recognize either, unless you work in the trades and outside of LiftMaster or Hand Steel. Both are amazing companies, but Uxbridge is home to the largest cold rolling press in North America on steel mills. Now, when I'm talking a press, I'm talking about a press where the bed is double the size of this room. And when you drive around the neighborhood up there, there's all kinds of help wanted stuff. So it is pretty amazing to see how we've been able to adapt to what's going on. And what's really exciting, and for those who have not given up on the region, the city of Toronto is simply too expensive to build in anymore. If you go out to parts of the west part of the GTHA, there is just simply no room to develop. And Durham region has that. And we have that opportunity right now where companies are moving out here to do what they're doing. You know, and I talked about Kubota, but I didn't talk about Toyota. Toyota is in Clarington right now building a large distribution center. Or Gordon Foods, who is a large food distribution center in Ajax, who is in the process of just finishing up what they were doing, where they'll employ over 300 people at a warehouse distributing food. It's a great story. And we have all kinds of interesting things as you travel across the region, which makes it incredibly exciting. We're using technology more than ever, and one of the greatest examples we have of that is we're converting, and I know it seems like a little thing, but we're converting your water bills to electronic billing. In today's day and age, you read your iPhone more than you go to your mailbox. If it comes in an envelope, chances are it goes into a blue box. So we've been spending time to develop an e-payment with e-payment programs as options, and it's been incredibly successful. So the next time you get your bill, I hope it's an e-bill, because there's a lot of money that can be saved by not having to mail that stuff. And I'm excited because we've also entered into partnerships, and I think the greatest example of a partnership I can give you is the GO Train story. Now, you can remember that for years, in all of our official plans, they talked. And I can tell you that when the Minister of Transportation comes out in the last government and cuts the ribbon, and when the Premier comes out and cuts the ribbon, and you know, all of this is going forward, the region invested $150 million. We built a road and a bridge in Whitby over behind the Durham College campus, and that was only a part of it. We've done infrastructure work. And then Metrolinx came out and said, well, we've got 3 other options. All 3 other options didn't really make sense. But it all talked about basically building it on the south side of the 401 using the CNN existing line that was down there. And, you know, it's like a Kenny Rogers song, you know, on a train bound from nowhere. Building a train where no people live simply doesn't make sense. So we have been working with the province, and we have had an opportunity, and we hope the announcement comes shortly, because with the stopping of production at General Motors, the CP bridge that crosses the 401 that went into General Motors became available. And what we did is we went to our engineering folks and said, can you possibly realign the tracks to get across that existing bridge so you don't have to build another bridge? Then we hired the consultant that Metrolinx used and gave them the data that the region had collected to help us build the story on why the northern side of the 401 makes sense. So it will cross when it's announced, hopefully, and we're 95% sure the province will make the announcement, that it will be a little bit east of where they originally decided to do it. It'll service Thornton's Corners, where over to where Bay McCollum used to be. It'll be over there. There's you can see there's between Sale and there's a bridge. You can see it that goes through there. Then it'll head into downtown Oshawa to the old Knobtail Farms property, where it will help us develop the old fittings land. Now, there's 2,200 residential units, apartments, that will be built on the fittings property sometime. It's like a village. It is an amazing concept of what Medallion is trying to do. But having a GO train station within a 10-minute walk of a large residential development makes absolute sense.